Shila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shila Gurudev Ki Jai. Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatarashatashmad Shila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatarashatashmad Shila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatarashatashmad Shila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatarashatashmad Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitya Vishta Maha-Bhagavat Shila Goksharas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitya Vishta Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Nitya Vishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rupano Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Patadash Raghunath Shard Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Raya Ramananda Shri Gopal Shada Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund Ki Jai. Shri Muna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya Ki Jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitil Vishtam Vishnupad Ashtara Shatashmad Shila Bhakti. Sorry, I spaced out. Okay. Jai Shri Raya Ramananda Ki Jai. Tadiya Shubha Tirubhav Titi Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Gaur. Hare Krishna, Jai Jai Prabhu. Okay, so let's just start. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad-Bhakti Vedanta Narayani Namane. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamine Namine. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo mahavadanyaya Krishna prema pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Itadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yam pravrajantam anupetam apeta krityam Dvaipayano virahakatara ajuhava Putreti tanmayataya tarabhobhine dostang sarvabhuta hridayam munimanatosmi. Narayanam namaskritya narang chaiva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. Shrinvatang swakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana Hridantasto yabhadrani vidhunoti suhritsatam. Nashta prayashvabhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavatuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. Tavaivasmi na jivami tvaya vina. Iti vigyaya radhe tvam nayamam charanantikam. Bhaktya vihina aparada lakshai Kshiptashtakama titaranga madhe Kripa mai tvam sharanam prapanna Vrinde namaste charana ravindam. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dandavat pranams, Raseshwari Mataji, Madhavi Didi, and let's see who else is there. Dandavat pranams. Okay. So, thank you yesterday for being so patient with me, with my internet, even when it was failing so much. I have my mobile hotspot open and ready, so if the power goes out, I can just quickly jump to it. And since we don't have that much to read today, since we're just going to finish what we had on our list to read tomorrow, I thought maybe afterwards we could read about Raya Ramananda. Alright, so I'm not going to reread this because we already read it yesterday. This recap of what we read. First, yeah, so we read about the genealogical line of Prithu, Vijitashrva's progeny, and his renunciation. Vijitashrva was Prithu Maharaj's son, who was very similar to him in all his good qualities. And then this is the line coming from Vijitashrva. Vijitashrva, then there's Havirdhana, Prachina Barhi, and then the Prachetas, 10 Prachetas, 10 sons. And Vidura's questions about the meeting of Lord Shiva and the Prachetas, the description of the lake where the Prachetas went to perform austerities, and Shiva arrived, explained his inclination towards Lord Vasudev's devotees, and said that he will teach them an auspicious mantra. So then he offers obeisances to the Lord in the form of the Chaturvyuha and the presiding deities of the elements for self-purification. And as I mentioned, we're not going to go through all of this, but yeah, he offered obeisances to Vasudev, who is the deity of consciousness, whose function is that he's a controller of the senses and the sense objects. And Sankarshan is the false ego, master of disintegration and integration. And in each one of these prayers, he asks, like he has a prayer. Please make my chitta peaceful and unchanging, and make it conscious of bhakti by revealing your beauty. Please bind my possessiveness to the Lord and my ego, to my true identity as a devotee. And he prays to Pradyumna, who is the deity of intelligence, whose function is to enlighten the universe. He prays, wake up my intelligence so that it will situate me in bhakti. And then he prays to Aniruddha, who is the deity of the mind, and whose function is that he is the director of the mind, which is the chief of the senses. So he prays, attract my mind to the Lord's lotus feet through bhakti alone, and keep it in the perfect state of cleanliness. So that was to the Chaturvyuha. Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, the deity of consciousness, false ego, intelligence, and the mind. Now he prays to Surya, the sun, who is the deity of the eye, then Agni, who is the deity of speech, Soma, who is the moon, right? And who is the deity of mind and taste, And he has, and for each one of them, he has a special prayer. Hiranyagarbha, Virat Rup, Vayu, air, Nabha, sound, and then the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and then he prays to Lord Shiva, prays to himself. Yeah, anyway, since we already went through this all yesterday, I'm not going to go through it all again in detail. And then this is what we read yesterday. We got up to 46 when my power went out. So, remembering in this way, purifying the body, senses, and mind by offering respects, Lord Shiva becomes qualified. Now he prays to see the Lord. So he says, I wish to see a particular form of the Lord. Okay, I wish to see you exactly in the form that your very dear devotees worship. Only that form is liked by the devotees. Only that form liked by the devotees can perfectly satisfy all the demands of the senses. The collection of all beauty. The Lord glistens, dark like a rain cloud. The Lord is a sum total of all beauty, with 4 long arms and a noble, attractive face. And there's a note here for Sarva Sundarya Sangraham, the sum total of all beauty. It says, Sarva Sundarya Sangraham indicates that Lord Krishna contains all the beauties in the material and spiritual worlds. It also indicates that the Lord gives more credits to his devotees than he takes for himself. Oh yeah, I remember reading that in the purport. Okay. Now the next verse, this is what we ended with. The Lord has eyes like lotus petals, graceful brows and raised nose. The Lord has fine teeth and forehead, and well-proportioned decorated ears. Now we're going to read about the Lord's increasing beauty, the Lord's shoulder and chest, the Lord's navel and belly, the Lord's lower body, etc. And a result of meditation on this form. All right, let's begin. See, this is how we ended Srila Prabhupada's purport yesterday. Everything was arranged. He's talking about this topic of Sarva Sundarya. So yeah, one meaning is that it's the sum total of all beauty, but then another meaning that Srila Prabhupada says the word Sarva Sundarya indicates that there are different types of beauties. Sorry. This is a really beautiful purport by Srila Prabhupada. God. Everything was arranged by the Lord, but the credit of victory was given to Arjuna in the battle of Kurukshetra. Similarly, in the Krishna consciousness movement, everything is happening according to the predictions of Lord Chaitanya, but the credit goes to Lord Chaitanya's sincere servants. Thus, the Lord is described herein as Sarva Sundarya Sangraham. Right. Oh, is there a line missing? There is a line missing. Okay, let's open this up. Database.io, chapter 24. Oh, great. Oops, wrong one. Sorry, I'm spaced out. There, 47, 48. Kriti prahasitam pangam alakai rupashobhitam lasat pankaja kinjalaka dukulam rishtakundalam spurat kiritavalaya haranupura Shanka chakra gada parma mala manyuttamardimat. The Lord is super excellently beautiful on account of his open and merciful smile, and his sidelong glance upon his devotees. His black hair is curly, and his garments, waving in the wind, appear like flying saffron pollen from lotus flowers. His glistening earrings, shining helmet, bangles, garlands, ankle bells, waist belt, and various other bodily ornaments combine with conch shell, disc, club, and lotus flower to increase the natural beauty of the Kaustuba pearl on his chest. Wow, that was beautiful. His garments waving in the wind appear like flying saffron pollen from lotus flowers. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The word prahisatapanga, referring to Krishna's smile and sidelong glances at his devotees, specifically applies to his dealings with the gopis. Krishna is always in a joking mood when he increases the feelings of conjugal ras in the hearts of the gopis. The conch shell, club, disc, and lotus flower can be either held in his hands or seen on the palms of his hands. According to palmistry, the signs of a conch shell, club, lotus flower, and disc mark that marks the palms of great personalities and especially indicates the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Somebody has those marks on their hands. Singha skanda tvisho bibhrat sobhaga griva kostubam Shriyana payinya kshipta nikashashmorasolasat. The Lord has shoulders just like a lion's. Upon these shoulders are garlands, necklaces, and epaulets. What's an epaulet? An ornamental shoulder piece on an item of clothing, especially on the coat or jacket of a military uniform. Okay. And all these garlands, necklaces, and epaulets are always glittering. Besides these, there is the beauty of the Kaustuba Mani pearl, and on the dark chest of the Lord there are streaks named Shivas, which are signs of the goddess of fortune. The glittering of these streaks excels the beauty of the golden streaks on the gold testing stone. Indeed, such beauty defeats a gold testing stone. I'm just curious if in the other purports. Yeah. Okay. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The curling hair on the shoulders of a lion always appears very beautiful. Similarly, the shoulders of the Lord were just like a lion's, and the necklace and garlands, along with Kaustuba pearl necklace, combined to excel the beauty of a lion. The chest of the Lord is streaked with Shrivatsa lines, the sign of the goddess of fortune. Consequently, the Lord's chest excels the beauty of a testing stone for gold. The black, I don't know how you say this word. The black siliceous stone, siliceous. Okay, really? Anyways. And wait, what is this stone? Okay, whatever. The black siliceous stone on which gold is rubbed to test its value always looks very beautiful, being streaked with gold lines. Yet, the chest of the Lord excels even such a stone in its beauty. Purarecha kasimvigna valivalgo dalodaram prati sankramayad vishvam nabhyavarta gabhiraya. The Lord's abdomen is beautiful due to 3 ripples in the flesh. Being so round, his abdomen resembles the leaf of a banyan tree. And when he exhales and inhales, the movement of the ripples appears very, very beautiful. The coils within the navel of the Lord are so deep that it appears that the entire universe sprouted out of it, and yet wishes to go back. Purport. The whole universe is born out of the lotus stem which sprouted from the navel of the Lord. Lord Brahma sat on the top of this lotus stem to create the whole universe. The navel of the Lord is so deep and coiling that it appears that the whole universe again wants to withdraw into the navel, being attracted by the Lord's beauty. The Lord's navel and the ripples on his body always increase the beauty of his bodily features. The details of the bodily features of the Lord especially indicate the personality of Godhead. Impersonalists cannot appreciate the beautiful body of the Lord, which is described in these prayers by Lord Shiva. Although the impersonalists are always engaged in the worship of Lord Shiva, they are unable to understand the prayers offered by Lord Shiva to the bodily features of Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is known as Shiva Virinchi Nutam, Bhagavatam 11.5.33, for he is always worshipped by Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Let me just check the connection. Silicius. Okay. Silicius. Thanks, Rukmini. And Dandavat pranams, by the way. And Virginia Prabhu Haribo. Shama Shronyadiro Chishno Dukala Swarname Kalam Samachar Vangrik Jangoru Nimna Janu Sudarshanam. The lower part of the Lord's waist is dark and covered with yellow garments and a belt bedecked with golden embroidery work. His symmetrical lotus feet and the calves, thighs, and joints of his legs are extraordinarily beautiful. Indeed, the Lord's entire body appears to be well built. Purport. Lord Shiva is one of the 12 great authorities mentioned in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 6.3.20. These authorities are Swayambhu, Narad, Shambhu, Kumara, Kapila, Manu, Prahlad, Janak, Bhishma, Bali, Vyasaki, Shukadeva Goswami, and Yamaraj. The impersonalists who generally worship Lord Shiva should learn of the transcendental Satchidananda Vigraha of the Lord. Here, Lord Shiva kindly describes the details of the Lord's bodily features. Thus, the impersonalists' argument that the Lord has no form cannot be accepted under any circumstance. Padasharat parma palasharochisha naka dubir non tar agham vidunvata pradarshaya sviyam apasta sadvasam padam guru marga gurustamo jusham. My dear Lord, your two lotus feet are so beautiful that they appear like two blossoming petals of the lotus flower, which grows during the autumn season. Indeed, the nails of your lotus feet emanate such a great effulgence that they immediately dissipate all the darkness in the heart of a conditioned soul. My dear Lord, kindly show me that form of yours, which always dissipates all kinds of darkness in the heart of a devotee. My dear Lord, you are the supreme spiritual master of everyone. Therefore, all conditioned souls covered with the darkness of ignorance can be enlightened by you as the spiritual master. Purport. Lord Shiva has thus described the bodily features of the Lord authoritatively. Now he wants to see the lotus feet of the Lord. When a devotee wants to see the transcendental form of the Lord, he begins his meditation on the Lord's body by first looking at the feet of the Lord. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is considered to be the transcendental sound form of the Lord, and the 12 cantos are divided in accordance with the transcendental form of the Lord. Oh, we learned this shloka in Gurukul. Pado yadiyo pratama ditiya tritiya turyo katita yaduru nabhas. Oh God, I forgot it though. The first and second cantos of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam are called the two lotus feet of the Lord. It is therefore suggested by Lord Shiva that one should first try to see the lotus feet of the Lord. This also means that if one is serious about reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, he must begin by seriously studying the first and second cantos. The beauty of the lotus feet of the Lord is compared to the petals of a lotus flower, which autumn season. By nature's law, in autumn the dirty or muddy waters of rivers and lakes become very clean. At that time, the lotus flowers growing in the lakes appear very bright and beautiful. The lotus flower itself is compared to the lotus feet to the Lord, and the petals are compared to the nails on the feet. The petals on the lotus flower are compared to the nails of the feet of the Lord. The nails of the feet of the Lord are very bright, as Brahma Samhita testifies. Ananda Chinmaya Sarujvala Vigrahasya. Every limb of the transcendental body of the Lord is made as Ananda Chinmaya Sarujvala. Thus, each limb is eternally bright. As sunshine dissipates the darkness of this material world, the effulgence emanating from the body of the Lord immediately dries up the darkness in the heart of the conditioned soul. In other words, everyone serious about understanding the transcendental science and seeing the transcendental form of the Lord must first of all attempt to see the lotus feet of the Lord by studying the first and second cantos of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. When one sees the lotus feet of the Lord, all kinds of doubts and fears within the heart are vanquished. In Bhagavad-gīta, it is said that in order to make spiritual progress, one must become fearless. Abhayam sattva sangshuddhi, Bhagavad-gīta 16:1. Fearfulness is the result of material involvement. It is also said in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 11.2.37, Bhayam ditya abhiniveshata syat. Fearfulness is a creation of the bodily conception of life. As long as one is absorbed in the thought that he is this material body, he is fearful. And as soon as one is freed from this material conception, he becomes Brahma Bhuta, or self-realized, and immediately becomes fearless. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, Bhagavad-gīta 18.54. Without being fearless, one cannot be joyful. The bhaktas, the devotees, are fearless and always joyful because they are constantly engaged in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord. It is also said, Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogata bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. By practicing Bhagavad Bhakti Yoga, one becomes fearless and joyful. Unless one becomes fearless and joyful, he cannot understand the science of God. Bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. This verse refers to those who are completely liberated from the fearfulness of this material world. When one is so liberated, he can really understand the transcendental features of the form of the Lord. Lord Shiva therefore advises everyone to practice Bhagavad Bhakti Yoga. As will be clear in the following verses, by doing so, one can become really liberated and enjoy spiritual bliss. It is also stated, Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. The Lord is the spiritual master, and the bona fide representative of the Supreme Lord is also a spiritual master. The Lord from within enlightens the devotees by the effulgence of the nails of his lotus feet, and his representative, the spiritual master, enlightens from without. Only by thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord and always taking the spiritual master's advice, one can advance in spiritual life and understand Vedic knowledge. Yasya deve para bhaktir yata deve tata guru tasyaite katita hyarta prakashante mahatmana. Unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master, all the imports of Vedic knowledge are automatically revealed. Shvetashvatar Upanishad 6.23. Ata Shri Krishna namadena bhaver grahamendriyai sevam mukhe jivado swayameva spuratada. No one can understand Krishna as he is by the blunt material senses, but he reveals himself to the devotees, being pleased with them for their transcendental loving service unto him. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2-34. Bhaktyamam abhijananti Yavanyashchasmi tatvata tato mang tatvato gyatva vishate tar anantaram. One can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of the Supreme Lord by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Bhagavad-gīta 18.55. These are Vedic instructions. One must have full faith in the words of the spiritual master and similar faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then the real knowledge of Atma and Paramatma and the distinction between matter and spirit will be automatically revealed. This Atma Tattva, or spiritual knowledge, will be revealed within the core of a devotee's heart because of his having taken shelter of the lotus feet of a Mahajan, such as Prahlad Maharaj. Thus the Vedas, Shvetashvatar Upanishad 6.23, enjoin that for one who has unflinching faith in the lotus feet of the Lord, as well as in the spiritual master, the real import of Vedic knowledge can be revealed. Yasya devi para bhaktir gita devi tata guru tasate katitaya prakashanti mahatmana etad rupam anudeyam atma shuddhim abhipsatam yad bhakti yoga bhayada sarva dharmam anutishtatam. My dear Lord, those who desire to purify their existence must always engage in meditation upon your lotus feet, as described above. Those who are serious about executing their occupational duties and who want freedom from fear must take to this process of Bhakti Yoga. Purport. It is said that the transcendental name, form, pastimes, and entourage of the Lord cannot be appreciated by the blunt material senses. Therefore, one has to engage himself in devotional service so that the senses may be purified, and one can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Here, however, it is indicated that those who are constantly engaged in meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord are certainly purified of material contamination of the senses, and are thus able to see the Supreme Lord face to face. The word meditation is very popular in this age amongst the common people, but they do not know the actual meaning of meditation. However, from Vedic literature, we learn that the yogis are always absorbed in meditation upon the lotus feet of the Lord. Dhyana vastita tad gatena manasa pashyanti yam yogina. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 12.13.1. This is the real business of yogis, to think of the lotus feet of the Lord. Lord Shiva therefore advises that one who is actually serious about purification must engage himself in this type of meditation or in the mystic yoga system, which will help him not only see the Lord within, which will not only help him to see the Lord within constantly, but to see him face to face and become his associate in Vaikuntha Loka or Goloka Vrindavan. The word Swadharmam, as in Swadharmam Anutishtatam, indicates that the system of Varnashram, which indicates the occupational duties of the Brahmins, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, and which is the perfect institution for humanity, that this system of Varnashram must be supported by Bhakti Yoga if one wants at all to security in life. Okay, Varnashram must be supported by Bhakti Yoga. Generally, people think that simply by executing the occupational duties of a Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Sudra, or the duty of a Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, or Sannyasi, one becomes fearless or securely attains liberation. But factually, unless all these occupational duties are accompanied by Bhakti Yoga, one cannot become fearless. In Bhagavad-gīta, there are descriptions of Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, etc. But unless one comes to the point of Bhakti Yoga, these other yogas cannot help one attain the highest perfection of life. In other words, Bhakti Yoga is the only means for liberation. We find this conclusion also in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in a discussion between Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Rai regarding a human being's liberation from this material world. In that discussion, Ramananda Rai referred to the execution of Varnashram Dharma, and Lord Chaitanya indicated that Varnashram Dharma was simply external, eho bahya. Whoa, that's so cool that we're reading about Ramananda Rai on his disappearance day in Srila Prabhupada's purport. So, Lord Chaitanya wanted to impress upon Ramananda Rai that simply by executing the duties of Varnashram Dharma, one is not guaranteed liberation. Finally, Ramananda Rai referred to the process of Bhakti Yoga. Sthane stita shruti-gadam tanuvang manobhir. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 10:14-3. Regardless of one's condition of life, if he practices Bhakti Yoga, which begins with hearing, Shruti-gatam, the transcendental messages of the Lord through the mouths of devotees, he gradually conquers the unconquerable God. God is known to be unconquerable, but one who submissively hears the words of a self-realized soul conquers the unconquerable. The conclusion is that if one is serious about liberation, he not only should execute the occupational duties of Varnashram Dharma, but should also engage in Bhakti Yoga by hearing from a self-realized soul. Sorry, I just said realized. By hearing from a realized soul. This process will help the devotee conquer the unconquerable Supreme Personality of Godhead and become his associate after giving up the material body. What verse are we reading up to? Let me just check. 56. All right. Let me just check the connection's still going. Okay. Looks like it. Pavan bhakti matalabhyo durlabha sarvadehinam swarajyasyapyabhimata swarajyasyapibhi ekante natma vedgati. My dear Lord, the king in charge of the heavenly kingdom is also desirous of obtaining the ultimate goal of life, devotional service. Similarly, you are the ultimate destination of those who identify themselves with you. However, it is very difficult for them to attain you, whereas a devotee can very easily attain your lordship. Purport. As stated in Brahma Samhita, Vedeshu durlabam adurlabam atma bhakto, Vedeshu durlabam adurlabam. Oh, just repeated it twice. This indicates that it is very difficult for one to attain the ultimate goal of life and reach the supreme destination Vaikuntha Loka, or Goloka Vrindavan, simply by studying Vedanta philosophy or Vedic literature. However, this highest perfectional stage can be attained by the devotees very easily. That is the meaning of Vedeshu durlabam adurlabam atma bhakto. The same point is confirmed by Lord Shiva in this verse. The Lord is very difficult for the karma yogis, jnana yogis, and dhyana yogis to attain. Those who are bhakti yogis, however, have no difficulty at all. In the word swarajasya, swar refers to Swargaloka, the heavenly planet, and swarajya refers to the ruler of the heavenly planet, Indra. Generally, karmis desire elevation to heavenly planets, but King Indra desires to become perfect in Bhakti Yoga. Those who identify themselves as I am the Supreme Brahma, one with the Absolute Truth, also ultimately desire to attain perfect liberation in the Vaikuntha planets, or Goloka Vrindavan. In Bhagavad Gita 18:55, it is said, Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavanchas chasmi tatvata tato mang tatvato gyatva vishate tar anantaram. One can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of the Supreme Lord by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Thus, if one desires to enter into the spiritual world, he must try to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by practicing Bhakti Yoga. Simply by practicing Bhakti Yoga, one can understand the Supreme Lord in truth, but without such understanding, one cannot enter the spiritual kingdom. One may be elevated to the heavenly planets, or may realize himself as Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi, but that is not the end of realization. One must realize the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by Bhakti Yoga. Then real perfection of life is attained. Tam duraraddhamaradhya satamapi durapaya ekanta bhaktya vanchet padamulam vina bahi. My dear Lord, pure devotional service is even difficult for liberated persons to discharge, but devotional service alone can satisfy you. Who will take to other processes of self-realization if he is actually serious about the perfection of life. Purport. The word satam refers to transcendentalists. There are three kinds of transcendentalists: the jnani, yogi, and bhakta. Out of these three, the bhakta is selected as the most suitable candidate to approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is emphasized herein that only one who is outside devotional service would not engage in searching for the lotus feet of the Lord. Foolish people sometimes maintain that God may be attained in any way, either by karma yoga, jnana yoga, etc. But here it is clearly stated that it is impossible to obtain the mercy of the Lord by any means but bhakti yoga. The word duraradya is especially significant. It is very difficult to attain the lotus feet of the Lord by any method other than bhakti yoga. Dur means far away, and aradhya, right? Worshipping. Duraradhya means. How do they translate it here? Duraradhya, very difficult to worship. Okay, we're ending with this verse, but anyways, let's just read this one. Yatra nirvishtamaranyam Kritanta nabhimanyate Vishram vidvangsayan virya Shaurya vispurjita bhruva. Simply by expansion of his eyebrows, invincible time personified can immediately vanquish the entire universe. However, formidable time does not approach the devotee who has taken complete shelter at your lotus feet. Purport. In Bhagavad-Gīta 10:34, it is said that the Lord, in the shape and form of death, destroys all a person's possessions. Mrityu sarva harashchaham. I am all-devouring death. The Lord, in the shape of death, takes away everything that is created by the conditioned soul. Everything in this material world is subject to perish in due course of time. However, all the strength of time cannot hamper the activities of a devotee, for a devotee takes complete shelter under the lotus feet of the Lord. For this reason only is a devotee free from formidable time. All the activities of the karmis and jnanis, which have no touch of devotional service, are spoiled in due course of time. The material success of the karmis is destined to be destroyed. Similarly, the impersonal realization attained by the jnanis is also destroyed in the course of time. Aruhya krichrena param padam tata patanta do nadrita yushmar angraya. To say nothing of the karmis, the jnanis undergo severe austerities to attain the impersonal Brahmajyoti. But because they do not find the lotus feet of the Lord, they fall down again into this material existence. Unless one is fully situated in unalloyed devotional service, there is no guarantee of liberation, even if one is elevated to the heavenly planets or to the impersonal Brahman effulgence. A devotee's achievement, however, is never lost by the influence of time. Even if a devotee cannot completely execute devotional service, in his next life he begins from the point where he left off. Such an opportunity is not given to the karmis and jnanis, whose achievements are destroyed. The bhakta's achievement is never destroyed, for it goes on perpetually, be it complete or incomplete. This is the verdict of all Vedic literatures. Suchinam Shrimatam Gehe Yoga Bhrashto Bijayate. If one is unable to complete the process of bhakti yoga, he is given a chance in his next life to take birth in a pure family of devotees or in a rich family. In such families, a person can have a good opportunity to further progress in devotional service. When Yamaraj, the superintendent of death, was instructing his assistants, he told them not to approach the devotees. The devotees should be offered respect, he said, but do not go near them. Thus the devotees of the Lord are not under the jurisdiction of Yamaraj. Yamaraj is a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he controls the death of every living entity. Yet he has nothing to do with the devotees. Simply by blinking his eyes, time personified can destroy the entire cosmic manifestation, but he has nothing to do with the devotee. In other words, Devotional service, which is rendered by the devotee in this lifetime, can never be destroyed by time. Such spiritual assets remain unchanged, being beyond the influence of time. (54 to 59). Let's finish this topic. Bhakti's topmost. We still have another 10 minutes, right? What time is it? 7:51. Okay, so let's just finish off this section. I'll read up to verse 59. Kshanardenapi tulayena swargam na punarbhavam bhagavat sangi sangasya martyanam kim utashisha. Whoa! This is the same as the verse that we learned in our shloka group. But instead of, the only thing that was different was instead of kshanardena, it says tulayama lavina api. Tulayama lavina api na swargam na punarbhavam bhagavat sangi sangasya martanam kimutashisha. That's really neat. And kshanardenapi tulaye and lavina, tulayama lavina api mean the same thing. If one by chance associates with a devotee, even for a fraction of a moment, he no longer is subject to attraction by the results of karma and gyan. What interest, then, can he have in the benedictions of the demigods, who are subject to the laws of birth and death? Lavana, I think, is 1/11 of a second. In kshana ardena, by half a moment. Purport. Out of the three kinds of men, the karmis, jnanis, and bhaktas, the bhakta is described herein as the most exalted. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati has sung, Kaivalyam narakayate tridasha pur akasha pushpayate. Chaitanya Chandramrita. The word Kaivalya means to merge into the effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the word Tridasha Pur refers to the heavenly planets where the demigods live. Thus, for a devotee, Kaivalya Sukha, or merging into the existence of the Lord, is hellish, because the bhakta considers it suicidal to lose his individuality and merge into the effulgence of Brahman. A bhakta always wants to retain his individuality in order to render service to the Lord. Indeed, he considers promotion to the upper planetary systems to be no better than a will-o-wisp. Temporary material happiness holds no value for a devotee. The devotee is in such an exalted position that he is not interested in the actions of karma or jnana. The resultant actions of karma are so insignificant to a devotee situated on the transcendental platform that he is not in the least interested in. Bhakti Yoga is sufficient to give the bhakta all happiness. As stated in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1.2.6, Yayatma Siddhati. One can be fully satisfied simply by devotional service. This is the result of association with a devotee. Without being blessed by a pure devotee, no one can be fully satisfied, nor can end the transcendental position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Atanagangres tavakirti tirtayor antarbahisnana viduta papmanam Puteshvanu krosha susatva shilinam satsangamonu graha esha nastava. My dear Lord, your lotus feet are the cause of all auspicious things and the destroyer of all the contamination of sin. I therefore beg your Lordship to bless me by the association of your devotees, who are completely purified by worshipping your lotus feet and who are so merciful upon the conditioned souls. I think that your real benediction will be to allow me to associate with such devotees. That's such a beautiful prayer. Purport. The Ganges water is celebrated as being able to eradicate all kinds of sinful reactions. In other words, when a person takes his bath in the Ganges, he becomes freed of all of life's contaminations. The Ganges water is celebrated in this way because it emanates from the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Similarly, those who are directly in touch with the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and who are absorbed in the chanting of His glories are freed from all material contamination. Such unalloyed devotees are able to show mercy to the common conditioned soul. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has sung that the devotees of the Lord are so powerful that each one of them can deliver a universe. In other words, it is the business of devotees to preach the glories of the Lord and deliver all conditioned souls to the platform of Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness. Here the word Susattva means Shuddha Sattva, the transcendental stage beyond material goodness. By his exemplary prayers, Lord Shiva teaches us that our best course is to take shelter of Lord Vishnu and his Vaishnav devotees. Okay, we'll end with this verse. How long is the purport? Let's see. Okay, yeah, it's not way too long. Nayasya chittang bahirartha vibramam tamo guhayam cha vishuddhamavishat yad bhakti yoganu grihitam anjasa munir vichaste nanutatrate gatim. The devotee whose heart has been completely cleansed by the process of devotional service and who is favored by Bhakti Devi does not become bewildered by the external energy, which is just like a dark well. Being completely cleansed of all material contamination in this way, a devotee is able to understand very happily your name, fame, form, activities, etc. Purport. As stated in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 3:25-25. Oh, this is our verse for today. I'm just preparing it right now, actually, in our shloka group. Satam prasangam mama virya samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana kata tajoshanaj ashvapavargavartmani shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramishyati. Anyways, simply by the association of pure devotees, one can understand the transcendental name, fame, quality, and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I just drew a picture. Every day I'm trying to get a bit more creative, and so just yesterday I drew a picture of this verse, like my understanding of this verse. I can show you afterwards. Anyways. Sri Chaitanya, I'll show you after. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has repeatedly said, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastre Koi, Lava Matra Sadhu Sanghe, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. Simply by associating with a pure devotee, one becomes wonderfully advanced in Krishna consciousness. Sadhu Sangha, or association with a devotee, means always engaging in Krishna consciousness by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and by acting for Krishna. Specifically, chanting the Hare Krishna mantra purifies one, and this chanting is therefore recommended by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. By chanting the names of Krishna, the mirror of the heart is cleansed, and the devotee loses interest in everything external. When one is influenced by the external energy of the Lord, his heart is impure. When one's heart is not pure, he cannot see how things are related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Idam hi vishvam bhagavan ive tara. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1:5-20. He whose heart is purified can see that the whole cosmic manifestation is but the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he whose heart is contaminated sees things differently. Therefore, by satsanga, or association with devotees, one becomes perfectly pure in heart. One who is pure in heart is never attracted by the external energy, which urges the individual soul to try to dominate material nature. The pure heart of a devotee is never disturbed when he executes devotional service in the form of hearing, chanting, remembering, etc. In all, there are 9 processes one can follow in the execution of devotional service. In any case, a pure-hearted devotee is never disturbed. The Bhakti Yoga process must be carried out by avoiding the 10 offenses one can commit while chanting the Mahamantra, and the 64 offenses one can commit while worshipping the deity. When a devotee strictly follows the rules and regulations, Bhakti Devi becomes very much satisfied with him, and at that time, he is never disturbed by anything external. A devotee is also called a muni. The word muni means thoughtful. A devotee is as thoughtful as a non-devotee is speculative. The non-devotee's speculation is impure, but a devotee's thoughts are pure. Lord Kapila and Shukadeva Goswami are also called Muni, and Vyasadeva is addressed as Mahamuni. A devotee is addressed as Muni, or thoughtful, when he purely understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The conclusion is that when one's heart is purified by the association of devotees, and by the avoidance of the offenses committed when chanting and worshipping the Lord, the transcendental name, form, and activities of the Lord are revealed by the Lord. That was a beautiful purport. And verse. Yeah, very nice. Okay, so this is, let me just show you really quickly. This is the verse. It's not a very good picture, but for 100 days I'm trying to write every day, and I'm trying to just draw a picture, whatever comes to my mind, just quickly. I don't spend much time on it. But this is for the verse Satam Prasangam Mama Virya Samvido. This is the shloka that we're learning today in our shloka group. But see, this is supposed to be the words emanating from the pure devotees, and then they enter into the ear, and then from within the ear it goes down deeper and pleases the heart, right? Hrit Karna Rasayana Kata. And through that, one's like being bound in the material world. That's why I made chains here, and all the suffering. Then they break free from that, and then come to. Anyways, I was just being a little bit wild, but and I wanted to draw like the Bhakti Lata growing or whatever, and but I just stopped because I'm trying to not spend more than like 20 minutes on this a day. Anyhow. Whoa, I've never heard of the Sadhu Sangashtakam. Who wrote the Sadhu Sangashtakam? Anyways, Rukmini, if you could share that with me, I'd be very curious to see. Yeah, so many beautiful verses and purports in the Rudra-gīta. It's very true. Very beautiful. There's, I remember when I was staying with Premananda Prabhu, there was a time, I think it was during Shiva-Ratri time. There's some time of the year. It might have been 1 month before Shiva-Ratri, or I don't know what it was. But we would sing the Rudra-gīta every day for a month. I think it was a month that we sang it every day. That was a long time ago. I think that was in 2002 or 2003. No, it must have been later. 2004, maybe. Anyhow, yeah. All right. The Rudra Prabhu's name for the 8 verses of the Bhagavatam starting. Oh, okay, cool. That's really nice. 3:25:20. Cool. Oh yeah, that's the verse. Tulayama lavina api, right? Na swagam na punarbhavam. Cool, I'll check that out. The Rudra Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Bo, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. And somebody's asking if, oops, if I can gonna do something on the fall of the Jiva. There have been many books on, well, not many, but I know of a couple books. Well, one is by my Gurudev. What's the name of the book? The Journey of the Soul, is it? Anyways, that book, and also there's a book by, I think, Tripurari Maharaj, that not even a leaf falls from Vaikuntha. I think there also might be a book by Satyanarayan. Anyways, that's like been so elaborately explained many, many times. And so, yeah, I don't think there's any need. Srila Gaura Govinda Goswami Maharaj would speak about it also. Anyways, maybe in the future, I don't know. But I'm not sure if there's really a need since there's already so many resources on that. Alright, I'm going to do Jaidwani. Jai Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai. Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shatashmad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shatashmad Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shatashmad Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shatashmad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shatashmad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shatashmad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitila Pravishta Mahabhagavat Srila Goksharas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitila Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Nitila Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rupano Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Dashagunath Shara Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Raya Ramananda Rishi Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sarva Abhishta Bharata Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kund Ki Jai. Shri Mona Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Purnamasi Yoga Maya Ki Jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Preman. Shri Raya Ramananda Ki Jai. Shri Bhavananda Rai Ki Jai. That's his father. Shri Raya Ramananda Tirubha Titi Ki Jai. Titi Palankari Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavatai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So tonight we will, Dandavat Pranams everybody. Thank you for joining me in this. And tonight we will read about Raya Ramananda this evening. Oh, and somebody is asking, how can Krishna graze cows in Goloka Vrindavan when time does not pass? Don't even try to understand eternal time, because this human brain will never be able to understand. We can only understand past, present, and future. And in Goloka Vrindavan, there's only the eternal present, and it's something that's completely beyond anything that we can conceive in this world. We can, and so don't even try getting into that, because it's impossible. It's agochara. It's beyond the comprehension of mundane senses, because it's transcendental. So, yeah. Okay, Haribol. Dandavat Pranams. And thank you, Jai. I don't know what the J stands for. It's Jaya J. But thank you for joining. And also thank you, Rukmini Didi and Madhavi Didi and everybody so much for, yeah. I like Haribol.